Welcome to Inside Major League Pickleball. I'm Will Doughton, joined by the voice of pickleball, Dave Fleming. How are you, my friend, Dave?
It's great to be here. Great to have you on the set, Will, and we have so much to talk about.
So much to get through today, and we're going to start with a recap of the Advil Targeted Relief MLP mid-season tournament. So many thrilling matches, so much money on the line for these teams. Dave, take us through it.
Yeah, well, let's start with Premier. So it was phenomenal. The play was great. The intensity, the fans at the Beer City Open were into this. So who took it? Well, the Clowns did. The New Jersey Fives win the whole thing. We'll get to that in a minute. And the runners-up, the DC Pickleball team, were right there. They just couldn't quite get it done. And then the third place game we'll talk about a little later in the show, but congrats to the Texas Ranchers who win the Lone Star State battle over the Dallas Flash. But when I look at this whole experience, I want to go back to the semifinals, Will, because what in the world is happening? You got the Fives, you got the Dallas Flash there, and as it was getting all set up, it looked like both teams were setting up, we're going to just play a dream breaker. It's fine. Let's do that. We're going to have the best mixed doubles team on paper, the Johnsons, play against Mari Humberg and Zane Navratil, and then nothing followed the script. Will, what in the world?
Nothing followed suit, and like you said, on paper, JW and Georgia Johnson, one of the best mixed doubles teams in pickleball. But Zane Navratil, Mari Humberg, they hadn't won a single mixed doubles match in this MLP season, but their first win comes against one of the top mixed doubles teams in the sport. How about that?
And what's interesting is, you know what they did? They said, we're not going to lose the same way anymore. They switched. So you don't see a right-handed dude playing mixed doubles very often, but Zane Navratil said, you know what? I'm going to do what's best for the team. We're going to let slice and dice Mari Humberg play the left where she's got that just wicked backhand roll, and they get it done, and then that leads to a match that they win without a dream breaker. What in the world, Will?
Their only win this season that has not come from a dream breaker against one of the top teams in Major League Pickleball. It was crazy. And you talked about Mari Humberg, her ability to really outdink her opponents from that left side. That's exactly what she did against Tyra Black in the women's doubles match that she and Annalie Waters also won. She was really just attacking that backhand dink of Tyra Black, and they eventually got that win in women's doubles as well. So I was super impressed with Mari Humberg in that semifinal.
Yeah, I named her the MVP, and deservedly so, and that got them to the final. The other semifinal was equally as sassy because you have the Shock who's coming into this event as the favorite. They were the 1 seed. Everyone wants to see AB, the captain with the youngsters and the newcomer Kate Fahey, and they're playing the DC Pickleball team. And we get to a dream breaker, Will, and I'm calling this and I'm like, oh, if I can just have the girlies against each other at the buzzer, this would be spectacular. Anna Bright on one side, Rachel Rohrabacher on the other, and we got it.
You got exactly what you asked for. 2020 Rachel Rohrabacher versus Anna Bright, and who takes it but Rachel Rohrabacher to take it 22-20. Just the ability to deal with nerves from Rohrabacher against her good friend, maybe one of her best friends, Anna Bright, and her women's doubles partner. They've spent so much time on the court, on the PPA tour, and of course last MLP season as well on the Orlando Squeeze. So much at stake for that match, but so much personal pride on the line for that match as well. Well done to Rohrabacher and DC for just pulling out that dream breaker.
Yeah, because the other thing you had going on is also on the DC Pickleball team is Big Papa Jimmy, her boyfriend. So Anna Bright is taking all of this out onto the court. She played unbelievable. And the interesting thing about Rohrabacher is Rohrabacher's team with Jimmy playing, they're up 2019, and in the back of her mind, she's like, you know what? I kind of would like to finish this. And she got out there at 2020 and did exactly that. That was epic. And then obviously in the final, it was the Fives. But those semifinals, folks, if you haven't watched those matches, watch those and the final. It was awesome. Well earned. Those teams played great throughout the tournament.
Must watch pickleball. And you mentioned the dream breaker in the final between the Fives and the DC Pickleball team. Deckelbar had a great tournament. Yes. He had so many good matches. But just in that dream breaker, a few missed serves, and it's so uncharacteristic because Deckelbar is someone who's known for his serve, but just some untimely missed serves that eventually allowed the Fives to capture that one. What do you make of that, Dave?
You know, it's something I talk about. I say it a lot on the broadcast. I am watching the nerve and the confidence of the players as they step up to the plate in a dream breaker, because in rally scoring, you do ring the register either way. You miss it, the point's going the other way, whereas in side-out scoring, yes, you lost an opportunity, but you did not lose a point. So the day before, Jimmy Ignatowicz on that game point that I talked about hit a 4-mile-an-hour serve, and this is a guy that can serve harder than anybody. So I was like, that was interesting, and he paid the price. He did not get into that rally at all. So Deckelbar, after Viv Glosman gets them a nice lead, and kudos to her for stepping up in a big moment, goes for a serve and misses it. And you're like, okay, went for it, one missed. They're still in a very good position. Goes for another one and doesn't make it. So I'm sure Deckel feels sick about the fact that that happened, because who knows how that point plays out. But his serve's so big, it usually sets up that huge forehand and off you go. But at crunch time, those serves didn't get made. And then it is Zane Navratil versus Big Papa Jimmy, all close at the end. And Zane rattled off the last three.
And you can't say you're surprised. Zane Navratil just has a knack for winning MLPs and just being so clutch. We saw it last year with the Orlando Squeeze. And again, it's probably one of the reasons why the Fives drafted him, just to be such a veteran presence with a younger team for sure.
No doubt. So kudos to them. The big thing with this is it did not affect the regular season standings. So yes, there's the mosh pit, the Fives. I asked how many clowns, where's the little car we can shove them all into here? And the big other news there, of course, is Annalie Waters had never won an MLP title, and she gets her first one up in Grand Rapids.
So congrats to her. Congrats to the New Jersey Fives. What a tournament. Just so much good pickleball. And on the challenger side as well, we had the Brooklyn Aces taking down the Las Vegas Night Owls in the final. What a win for Brooklyn and for Pablo Tellez especially.
Yeah, because the big question was, wait a minute, this is a premier level player without question, makes quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals on the PPA consistently, especially in men's doubles, is a very good singles player, and he's left-handed. Like everything I just said sounds like exactly what you would want to draft as a general manager, but he gets traded out. Kwang Duong comes in, he ends up on this team, and the Aces are like, we embrace you. And Pablo talked about it. It was very hard for him at first. All he does is goes out and wrecks everybody he played.
He didn't lose a single match in the 3 matches they played, so well done to him to rebound and eventually carry his team to victory, because that was actually Las Vegas's, that was their first loss of the season. They were undefeated going into that match, had almost every match of theirs, like the Fives, go to a dream breaker, but Brooklyn just so solid, and their stock is certainly rising, even though they're not top of the standings yet with no standing points earned from this tournament.
Yeah, I think obviously if Pablo does stay there, and I'm sure there's going to be a feeding frenzy. I think that's what's going to be interesting here for all the general managers, is the ones that performed well are going to be the apple of many people's eyes. Can we get a trade? Can there be premier to challenger trades there? And then on the flip side, the teams that didn't do as well, I'm sure are going to have to figure out something here.
Right. So huge congrats to Brooklyn and for Las Vegas to making the final. And also SoCal Heartaches.
Yes.
They had a tough start to the year at MLP Atlanta, but they made some changes, brought in Yana Newell, an experienced, she actually won the challenger level title last year on the Heartaches as well. And so she was able to really make a difference for them, helped them secure 3rd place. So good for the Heartaches as well. A very good run for them.
No doubt about it, and that's a team with the veterans. Obviously, Irina Terashenko, another member of that team. How do they continue to gel? They like that change they made and obviously got on the podium there in Grand Rapids.
So good for them, a lot to look forward to. But now, Dave, we need to move over to another segment.
Okay.
Hot and not. And you may not like this. We'll see why in a few minutes.
Okay.
But we'll start off positively.
Okay.
We'll start off with the teams that feeling hot coming out of Grand Rapids.
Is this one of those, do you want the good news or the bad news kind of conversations we're about to have here?
Basically, but you're going to get both. So
okay.
We'll stick with the good news for now.
Let's do that.
The hot teams feeling great out of Grand Rapids. Obviously, the New Jersey Fives. I mean, they're on top of the world after winning, $80,000.
Yeah, and there's rumors of billboards in New Jersey, and they were a happy bunch and well-deserved. I mean, there's teams that chirp, and I even gave Will Howes a little bit of junk in the booth because he was running his mouth and didn't win the men's doubles. And I was like, maybe he's cashing some checks that he cannot back up. And then, boy, did he ever back it up with his play throughout that rest of the day. And what's interesting for him is I think his upside is terrific. So that's why this team's interesting. They got to figure out, does Zane on the right really keep working for them? I don't know, but it did in those matchups. And that's the interesting thing about MLP. You can switch it up and do what you think is best for you. So kudos to them. They haven't lost all year. They are always literally on the razor's edge, but they get the job done consistently.
And again, they are the final remaining undefeated team at any level in Major League Pickleball. So we'll see how long they can keep that up. And again, another hot team, the Texas Rangers. You hit on it earlier. They lost to the Dallas Flash in the quarterfinals. It was 3-0. Didn't even get to play 2 mixed doubles matches.
Done.
But then they won the next few matches, saw Dallas again in the 3rd place match, and they took it to them, won in a dream breaker. What a result, what a confidence building result for that team.
Yeah, because the Lone Star State, Dallas is, marching around. We beat this team 3-0. We didn't even need to waste our time on another mixed doubles match. And then what happened? Wait, what? We're in a dream. We got to play them again, number one, and that's that double elimination format. You couldn't come all the way back around, so it wasn't full come around where you could actually win the whole thing. 3rd was the best you could do. The Ranchers got that done. So it's interesting. I think that's big motivation for Dallas and great for Texas, especially Quang Duong, who got put in there for Pablo. So you're not replacing a guy that was maybe struggling a little bit or is, air quotes, pretty good. You have a lot to carry, and kudos to him for playing very well.
So good for New Jersey and Texas. Not so good for some other teams we're going to talk about. Dave, we got to talk about your team. You're the GM, the Carolina Pickleball Club. Didn't win a match, didn't win a single game in 2 matches in Grand Rapids. What the heck happened with the squad?
Well, Will, I'm just really thrilled that you brought this up in front of everyone at here. But I should be sitting behind the knot, okay? Because that's what Carolina was in Grand Rapids. Just didn't play well. And the chemistry needs to be better. There were game points. That's what's crazy in the razor's edge. Like everybody goes, yes, and you are absolutely right, and the numbers don't lie. You lost all 6 matches, as you pointed out, and for whatever reason I just reiterated. But there were those. So you look at trying to pull the positives out. We had a foot fault on a game point. But the Johns brothers have to win for this team and for our team to do well. Didn't happen. The women have not had a victory. So something's got to change, whether it's the matchup, sides, the team itself. So utterly disappointing. And, it was ugly, and we deserve to be under the not list right now. We'll see what happens in Salt Lake City coming up.
We will see what happens. I appreciate you facing that one head on. Never easy to, especially on camera as well. Another team under the not symbol there, Utah. Utah Black Diamonds still searching for their first victory. They came closer in Grand Rapids, went to a dream breaker against the Arizona Drive, a short-handed Arizona Drive, albeit, but still couldn't quite clinch it. What do you think they have to do to?
I think they feel better. They feel better than certainly Carolina does, because when you have Ben Johns on the team, you would expect to be seen. In fact, Anna Lee Waters even talked about the last time she was in a Major League Pickleball final was against Ben. She knew she didn't have to deal with that monster. In this case, Utah actually had a match point, 3 of them in that, to avoid a dream breaker against the Arizona Drive. So that tells me I'm seeing growth. So that's always the question. If you're struggling a bit, is it growth, or are you going freaking backwards? And in this case, they feel a little bit better about what they saw. They had a much healthier Jay DeVilliers out there playing. Again, they went all Utah all the time. We'll talk about later. They're going to get to play in their backyard. Will that be a difference for them going forward?
Right. They will have home court advantage here in just a few weeks in Salt Lake City. But before we move to that, one more team, the Chicago Slice. I was so high on this team when I heard that they got Megan Fudge, her pairing with Jack Monroe. It's a mixed doubles pairing I really like. And when I was actually doing my predictions for the mid-season tournament, I had Chicago winning it. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that in hindsight because they went 2-0. Didn't even win a single match. I thought Megan Fudge and Jack Monroe, 2 first-round talents, could really carry that team. And I thought Brendan Long and Allison Harris are more than capable of really being great in support roles as well. Just didn't find it. They had 2 losses. One of them wasn't a dream breaker. It was a tight one. But they did not perform to their potential at all in Grand Rapids.
It just stinks doing predictions, right? Because we love to say, hey, man, got that one right. But we got to own the ones that we get wrong, and I certainly get my share wrong as well because there's an expectation. And when we talked about the transactions on the prior version of this show, I was like, one of these isn't going to work out. Surprisingly, it was the Megan Fudge pickup from a instant result. We'll see how things go forward, but they're very disappointed in only playing 2 matches there without question. So what do? Do you get mad? Do you get better? Do you sulk? You got 2 weeks to figure it out. We'll see.
Right, and we'll see how they do respond. You do bring up the point, of course, those results from Beer City not impacting the season-long standings race. So you didn't do too hot in Grand Rapids. That's all right because you didn't really lose anything except, of course, the opportunity to, make some cash.
Make a little money, get that bag. But that's, I think, what the teams that didn't do well have to remember. Like, okay, wash that away, and then you go look at the standings, and they were the same as before and after, and that's exactly right because they do not affect the standings. But the hot and the not, and again, I am sitting in the right place, unfortunately.
Right. Well, we spent enough time talking about the matches, what a tournament it was in Grand Rapids, but let's talk about some plays, some incredible points that deserve a second look, Dave. Let's go over your podium plays of the week.
The bronze podium play of the week goes to Ben Johns. A little kitchen battle here, and then Kwong Duong throws up the lob, and instead of dropping it in the kitchen, Ben rips it between them for a winner. Now for the silver podium play of the week. Ooh, anytime I see Jack Sock, I know this is going to be special. Here we go. Singles, Dreambreaker versus Hunter Johnson. Big serve in the corner. Here comes Hunter Johnson. And whoa, Jack is on the ground. And what else is he doing? He's hitting a winner. Jack Sock with style always. And now for our gold podium play of the week, we've got the Las Vegas Night Owls. Their backs are to the wall. This is match point against the bouncers serving. There's Angie Walker. Judith Castillo, short return, look out. Oh, there's Jaume. Oh, Scorpion once. She's down. She's making plays. There's no way they get out of this, and they do. Judith Castillo either turning into an owl or wanting to hear it from the crowd. Unbelievable. Not only getting these back, but there's one rocky like a hurricane, and why not stay down there and keep making shots? And that ball catches the net, and Judith's loving every minute of it.
Those were some unbelievable plays, Dave. And speaking of unbelievable, we had an especially unbelievable match between the Orlando Squeeze and New York Hustlers in Grand Rapids. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm on the air on center, and grandstand's going on, and I hear in my ear, we're going to box. We got to get grandstand in here. I'm like, what? I'm in the middle of a crazy match of my own. And then they say it's 38 all, Will. What is happening? 38 all. This is by far the biggest score I've ever heard of, and indeed the longest match in MLP history. So we got a mixed match. It's 38 all. I'm like, how in the world is this even possible? Somebody freaking do something. But it's Paris Todd and Tyson McGuffin that win it 40-38 over CJ Klinger and Jackie Kawamoto. I can't even believe it. I only got to see 1 point of that till I went back and rewatched it, and it was just, it's remarkable to see that. And then that match had multiple tight bonus pickleball matches to get them to move on. That's why we love Major League Pickleball, because every point counts.
And you just think of how many match points had to be saved just to get to 40-38. And I know in the Dreambreaker, Orlando eventually won. It was 26-24 in that Dreambreaker. So a tight match. If they play again, that one will definitely be a match to watch. Speaking of things to watch on the pickleball court, we've got humor. We like to have fun, right?
Yes.
And J.W. Johnson gave us some fun content in Grand Rapids. Tell us about it.
Well, he gave us fun content from his jersey. So here's the deal. J-Dub's one of the best players in the world. We all know that. The hands for days. He's won everything and continues to win at such a young age. He did not take kindly to the fact that he was the 12th pick in the Premier draft. So, number one, what does he do? All his teammates have their last name on their back. You know what he has? The number 12, just to remind everybody of where he was selected. He took that up a step and said, you know what, I am going to put a name back there, but not my last name. He put Flick Wizard on the back with the 12. So, all right, we know it. We've seen that backhand flick. It is something. It's a thing of beauty. I love that he's having fun with it, and a message to all the other general managers. Hey, how dare you let me fall to 12?
Good for him, right? Take some accountability, take possession of that narrative.
And have fun with it. I mean, I think that's what's great is you can show your personality in a number of ways, and he chose to put it right on his back.
Hey, good for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for the Dallas Flash as well. So we know in Major League Pickleball, it's a long season, right? So many events, and it felt like that Grand Rapids tournament it felt like it lasted a month with how much excitement there was. But some of these teams, Dave, they only have a few weeks before their next event, because our next event is actually going out to Utah. It is the Vulcan MLP Salt Lake City. And Dave, this is the first Major League Pickleball event, official Major League Pickleball event, to ever take place in Utah. That's exciting. We know that's where the Carvana PPA Tour started, so now it's great to see MLP having an impact there as well. What are some things you're going to be watching for in Salt Lake City?
Well, just the reaction of the teams. We talked, okay, enough of the not. We'll talk about the teams that were hot coming into this, and just seeing, did you learn something? Again, court time with your teammates is so important. So did you get that, and did you work things out if things didn't go well? Are you ready to play? Are you ready to play at altitude? Are you ready to play indoors? So there's a lot of unique parts to this particular event. I can't wait to see it.
It should be a lot of fun. Obviously, Utah, the hometown favorites, they'll have a lot of fans cheering them on. Can they snag that first win? And Columbus and Carolina as well. Carolina obviously had a tough go of it in the tournament. We talked about that. So did Columbus. That women's doubles team, Megan Nizan, Brooke Buckner, just hasn't really clicked yet. Will they be able to find their groove and help their team kind of rise up the standings?
Yeah, that partnership seems like it could have worked, and it isn't. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but that'll be very interesting to see. Obviously, Carolina's going to play better. Yeah, better. And Utah, what an opportunity. So here's what you did. You drafted 3 Utah players. You've got them right there in their backyard. Callie is going to be fired up. Tyler's going to be fired up. Alex is going to be fired up. And they're going to want to show, hey, yeah, we got off to a slow start, made nice improvement, didn't quite get over the finish line at the midseason tournament, and then a much healthier Jay DeVilliers each week makes him more and more of that massive flying Frenchman threat. So they could be a problem in their backyard, and this is going to be the best I think you can get from Utah. So if they don't get wins there, yikes.
Right. And of course, for Arizona as well, we are going to have Andre Daescu coming back from suspension. That's huge. He was their first-round pick, and so he'll be extra motivated to try and get his team some points because they had no points on the line in Grand Rapids, so this will be their first event since that opening event in Atlanta.
Yeah, and then this is a guy that I'm sure was just contemplating everything that took place off the court with him having to sit out, having to pay a significant fine, and he has paid, he's done his time. So now how does he react to that? How does he come back and be that inspirational captain that he certainly is? And I don't think he needs to gain the trust back of anyone on the Arizona side, but he does of everyone else just to say, look, I paid my dues for the decision that I made and why I got suspended. Now I'm going to just come play great pickleball.
And he'll have a great men's doubles partner to do it. The #1 men's doubles player in the world, Dylan Frazier. My gosh, on paper, that men's doubles team is scary, frightening.
No doubt. Right and left, very clear who plays where. Dylan on the right with Andre, so they're going to be very good.
Should be good. And then, of course, on the challenger storylines as well, Las Vegas Night Owls. They were so close to finishing Grand Rapids undefeated, suffered their first defeat, but they have so much confidence, especially with how strong they've been in Dream Breakers. They'll try and keep it going in Salt Lake as well.
Yeah, for sure. The question, again, in these 2 weeks' time is, are these teams going to be the same? I know I am making calls. People are calling me. So that is the wild part. As we film this about 10 days till we start, are the teams going to be the same? I know there's some lingering injuries out there. We had people like Blaine Hovenier jump in. We had Samantha Parker and others jump in as replacements at the midseason tournament. Are they going to get another chance to show how they can play when the cauldron is hot in an MLP? So until we get literally right up to the first match, I'm going to tell you right now, as we sit here, there are going to be some changes. It may be injury, it may be trade. You can't pick up anyone. This is not a waiver wire period right now, but there's going to be changes.
And speaking of roster turnover, Dave, we have to talk about the Bay Area Breakers. They had such a strong start to the season in Atlanta, and then when the waiver period came up, well, one, they made that big trade to trade Vivian Glausman and get Elise Jones, bring her to challenger level.
And cash considerations. I just love that there's cash considerations. Anytime I can say it, I'm saying it. And the rumor, and I believe it's true, is 6-figure cash considerations there. So, wow. Viv, and that's going from challenger up to premier and not vice versa. And Viv Glausman played fantastic, so that was a great move for DC.
Obviously, that huge move, so they'll have Elise Jones. And then they also brought in Jill Braverman for Rachel Retker, and then DJ Young for Patrick Kafka.
Yeah.
So I believe they were 5-1 in 6 games in Atlanta. Then they do, in basically a roster overhaul, the only player they kept was Colin Schick. But none of those 3 players played in Grand Rapids, so we could see an entirely new Bay Area team in Salt Lake.
Yeah, we saw a new one in Grand Rapids.
Right.
The doctor's like, look, I have no patience. Colin Schick is taking a year off, if you're not familiar with his story, of med school, playing a full year of pro pickleball, PPA, and MLP, and everything around him changed on his MLP team. He was the only thing left standing. We'll see if all 3 of those jump back in to play with Colin Schick, and then what are they going to look like? Because they were, without question, one of the favorites to win the whole thing until all these transactions took place. They got paid, so again, it's motivation. And what's different here, and this is a big difference, is what does the owner want versus what do the general manager want versus what the players want, much like pro sports and NFL, NHL, NBA. All of that matters here, where when you're talking Carvana PPA Tour, you as an individual player go out and pick your partners, you play the tournaments you want, and then you sow what you keep by how well you play. So very different to be used to that, and how everyone adapts to that. It's going to be fun to watch.
It's kind of that professional sports league mentality making its way into pickleball. So cool to see as we continue to grow. So obviously lots to look forward to with the teams and players and rosters and all that with Salt Lake. But let's look at some specific matchups we have on the docket. What are some matchups you're looking forward to?
Well, let's start with this one, the Fives and the Flash. And the Flash are like, well, at least we're getting a chance at revenge right away. That mixed doubles match that the Johnsons lost that we talked about with Humberg and Zane Navratil. Do you think they flip the script here?
I think they do. I think J-Dub and Georgia, they're going to have to win, most likely, at least one mixed doubles match, and that's their best shot to do it. I remember J-Dub did not look his sharpest in that semifinal match. I think he's going to come out extra motivated. Probably, may want to highlight the number 12 on the back of his jersey, just make sure that everyone sees that, and just come in with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, because look, he is the leader of this team. He is so young, but there can be a lot of pressure, but he has his sister, he has his mom, Julie Johnson, one of the best coaches in pickleball, kind of helping out that team. And that is such a solid and dangerous team. I think that he's going to be extra motivated. I think they come out on fire in Salt Lake City.
And they don't love that they lost to the Texas Ranchers and didn't get on the podium as well. So that's the first out the jump. Here we go. So that's going to be fun on Thursday. And then on Friday, look at this. Andre's back playing against the Shock. What do you think is going to happen here?
I mean, Andre the Giant, he's back. I believe these teams, they did face off in Atlanta. It went the Shock's way. I think the Shock are just going to be a little too solid. I was really impressed with how Lacey Schneeman and Caitlin Christian played for the Drive in Grand Rapids, but I think that women's doubles team of Anna Bright and Kate Fahey is going to be a little too much. Even if this goes Dreambreaker, which is not completely out of the window, I think the Shock are just too solid. And the Shock may also have a chip on their shoulder. Look, they were the number 1 seeds, lost in the semifinals, right? And so you fell short of these super, super high expectations. Not that they should feel any shame in that, but I think they're going to want to reassert their dominance on the field, especially with New Jersey playing matches so they can stay at the top of the standings.
No doubt about it, and I think that's what's interesting is all the teams haven't played the same amount of matches. So the standings, you like to look at points you've earned per match, and then that really helps you. So fans at home, when you do look at those Major League Pickleball standings, check that out because somebody may be lower in the standings but have a very good record. They just haven't played as much. So let's move on to Saturday now. And yep, my beloved Carolina Pickleball Club is going to play the undefeated New Jersey Fives. And Will, I hope they're still undefeated before we get to them on Saturday because here's the deal. Pickleball loves Ben versus Anna Lee. This is going to be a focused Carolina Pickleball Club. As we mentioned, ugly in Michigan, but it did not affect the standings. So the team knows that. And coming into this is one of those where the Johns brothers have to win. Ben's got to win. Could Ben versus Anna Lee happen in mixed? That coin toss is going to be interesting to see if either side actually wants that, which will be wild to see. And then if it gets to a dream breaker, I think this is just wild because Colin is actually an underrated singles player, just doesn't play it a lot, but you have Anna Lee Waters and Will Howes who are very good, and this team just keeps winning dream breakers, so that's a problem, but we're coming for you, Fives.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Carolina Pickleball Club coming for the New Jersey Fives. And I just have to say, I would love to see Colin Johns face off against Anna Lee Waters in singles in a dream breaker. That would make my entire event. That would be amazing.
I think that would make a lot of people. I love when the dream breakers, whether it's the team I'm involved in or not, where they trick it up and put dude versus one of the ladies. And I love when the ladies, not in this particular case, but love when they're hitting passing shots and the guys are frustrated. It's awesome. I love all the women on the Carvana PPA Tour and here in Major League Pickleball. Sunday, let's get to one of the Challenger matchups. Not many teams, just 4 for Challengers. So this is a very heavy premier event. The Night Owls, and then who's playing for the Bay Area Breakers? We talked about it a minute ago. So this is one of those where you're going to have to tune in to see who's healthy, who's playing, what are the matchups. Colin Schick, you'll have some friends there, we just don't know who they are.
Right, so assuming no substitutions or roster changes are made, Dave, Bay Area is going to have Colin Schick, of course, they're going to have Jill Braverman, they're going to have Elise Jones from that Vivian Glossman trade, and then they're also going to have DJ Young, who they picked up in place of Patrick Kafka. So a lot to like about that team. We just haven't seen them play together yet.
Have no idea if it works. Jill has won a title and is a very good Major League Pickleball player, so I know she's happy to be back in the dance. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So the question is, how can you go and where can you watch this? We got a lot of national coverage for this one, so we're going to be ESPN2, some FS1 and FS2, and then, hey, if you're in the Utah area, we just put this big old square there just for you. That's right, scan that QR code and get your tickets. It is going to be absolute fire out in Salt Lake City, Will. As we discussed during the show, we thought there would be changes, and there are. 2 trades happened. Wanted to get them into the show before we put it out there, so here they are. Number 1, Columbus trades Connor Garnett to Utah for Jay DeVilliers. That's the second time in just this short period that MLP has been back that Jay's been traded. So he's going to Columbus. Connor Garnett's actually going to get to play at home with the Utah Black Diamonds this week in Salt Lake City. Columbus also made a second trade with me. That's right, Brooke Buckner, the Carolina girl, is coming to Carolina, and Andrea Koop is heading to Columbus. So Columbus, 2 new players. We'll have 1 new one. Wanted to get this into the show. It's going to be a great week of Major League Pickleball.
Thanks so much for joining us and spending some time learning about all the ins and outs of the teams and what to look forward to next week. For Dave Fleming, I'm Will Doughton. We'll see you in Salt Lake City.
Peace.